Recorded in the Bob Studios. It's the History of Bad Ideas podcast.
Welcome to the History of Bad Ideas, Episode 3. I am your co-host, Jason Brigger.
I'm your co-host, Jeff Now.
And we are rocking and rolling through. This is our third episode. They have not kicked us off iTunes yet.
And tonight we have a very special guest in the studio. He was our first feedback for the podcast, so we had to invite him in to give us, how we're doing, at least through two podcasts already.
We had a test podcast.
Yeah, well, the test podcast didn't go too well.
So. No, it didn't.
But we'd like to introduce Nic Carmosino, who is our number one fan for right now.
And our first guest.
I'm sorry, but I thought Pulling Chains was the first person to provide some feedback for you guys. I don't know who this is that you're referring to as Nic Carmosino. That is me. Pulling Chains, or Pull-in Chains, was your actual feedback came from.
And you guys can assume what that means.
First off, I'd like to give a shout out to Cleveland and Columbus. They're not people, they're cities. For being second and third in the downloads this month. Like I said, we appreciate it a lot. Cincinnati is number one, and then, like I said, followed up with Cleveland and Columbus. So thank you guys for downloading us up there.
Thank you, Ohio.
And then first thing we do is the listener feedback. And first thing we got is Doug asked on our Facebook page, how much better is Hawkeye than Green Arrow?
Much better? I don't know.
Don't take that tone with these fans. We have very few fans. We need to be nice to them.
I have no input. I like both the characters.
According to IGN, I did my research on this, Green Arrow ranks number 30 on their top 100 comic book characters of all time. And Hawkeye was 44, so I think that speaks. It's right there.
Look at you come out with the stats. Look at that.
The official IGN stats is what? Green Arrow is 14 places?
14 superheroes better than Hawkeye.
Oh, well, there you go, Doug. 14 superheroes better for Green Arrow.
Keep those comments coming, guys, on our Facebook page at the History of Bad Ideas podcast on Facebook. We also got another one, Mitch. I have to give him props. He gave us the correct box office amount for King Arthur last week that we screwed up on, that Jeff could not find on something called Google. It's a brand new website that Jeff was having trouble with.
He was looking on Lugal.
That's the porn version.
And I don't understand why it wasn't on there.
You don't want to know what a Lugal is. King Arthur made $51 million domestically. Foreign box office was $151 million on a budget of $120 million. So domestically, it was a bomb. Overall, though, it made money.
It made money. That's the only thing that matters. Who cares where the money's coming from as long as it made the money.
And then right before we went to air on Facebook, we asked if there was any other questions out there, legitimate ones. John in Texas says, who will be the first superhero to show up on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Personally, I think Deathlock already showed up.
Yeah, I think that... did we discuss that, or was that in our practice
No, we did talk a little bit about Deathlock.
Yeah, was that in our practice podcast, or was that in our first podcast?
I'll be honest, I can't remember what I wore to work today, so I don't remember. But with the latest episode, Deathlock is pretty much half machine now. They officially made the conversion over. Of course, I did think it was a little overkill at the very last scene this week is they zone in on his leg. It says Deathlock. Thank you, we know that.
It wouldn't have been overkill if someone didn't spoil it for me 2 weeks ago and tell me Deathlock was going to be in. It would have been a great reveal if someone doesn't throw spoilers out before the episode even airs.
There will be spoilers on this one, guys, just to let you know.
Yeah, but don't spoil it before the movie or the show. I mean, if the show's been out, that's fine. But not beforehand.
And just a correction, Jason. John is not in Texas. He's in Colorado.
Oh, my bad. I apologize. So there you go. The next superhero that will be on S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually going to be Sif from Thor, the female Asgardian. Personally, she can be on my TV any day. She could have her own show. I think it would work. And not only is she cute, but seriously, she's a badass in the show, in the movie.
It's the same actress who, from the movies, is going to be on the show?
Yes.
Excellent.
Who was actually up for Wonder Woman at one point, the rumor was.
Yeah, they couldn't have gone wrong if they chose her.
No. And then finally, Jason in Ohio, another Jason, asked, where's the Arrow scoop and more info on the Preacher upcoming TV show. I don't have much on Arrow. A couple new guys are coming, but that's already been, kind of teased in the TV show. But I do have some Flash news later on in the geek news area. And then for Preacher, did my research for you, Jason, because it is my favorite graphic novel of all time, comic book too. Before we went to graphic novel, AMC finally did greenlight it, and Seth Rogen and I believe his partner is going to be working on it. I think it's Evan Goldberg. The good news is Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, who created the Preacher comic book, gave their sign-off on it. Doesn't make me feel that much better, but we'll see what happens. There's no casting news yet. Supposedly, Seth Rogen will not star as Jesse Custer, a.k.a. the Preacher, in it. Thank Christ on that one. You got anything on that, Jeff?
I've got nothing on that.
Okay. You're not the best color man in the business for nothing.
Well, according to Twitter, Seth Rogen's feed off of Twitter, he is not going to play any character in the series at this time.
Good.
And they've been working on this for 7 years because it's their favorite comic book, just like yours.
Thank you. Oh, God, I don't want to have anything come with Seth Rogen.
I think we need to make Nick our Twitter correspondent.
He's our color man, color analyst. Baseball has it, football has it, now a podcast has the color analyst.
Catch.
For a second there, you were almost Joe Nuxall. Like I said, the only positive is everyone's signing off on it. I had talked about it last week, saying I don't think they can do it properly. We will find out there. I do not want to be the typical fan of the comic books that sits in the parents' basement bitching the whole time. And I know that's a poor stereotype, but there are a few out there that bitch about everything that comes out. And that is it for the listener feedback this week. Joey did want to talk to us about wanted us to talk about Michael Bay. That's a different time. We don't have enough time right now for that.
Yeah, that'll be the 4-hour podcast of what went wrong
in every one of his movies.
He did say, calling back to podcast number 1, The Rock is his favorite movie that he's directed.
This is Michael Bay?
And Sean Connery is his favorite actor that he ever worked with. So you've got that going for you.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. Thank you, Michael Bay.
Hope you liked that information, Joey.
Okay, now we're going to do a little something different. Not everybody knows who we are, obviously. And so we wanted to get Nick, best color man in the business right now, to ask if he's got any questions for us.
Yeah, well, last week's episode, you guys talked about how, Jason, you said that Shawshank Redemption was your favorite movie of all time. You could watch that all the time. And Jeff, of course, Embrace of the Vampire. Your go-to in many different ways.
Many.
An hour and 8 minutes into it, I'm just saying.
Thanks, Mr. Skin.
You're welcome.
So we thought maybe go into a few other things that your favorites of, kind of a desert island situation of if you only had this one item of these, circumstances for all time to go to. So, say a TV series.
Ooh.
Okay, favorite TV series?
Only one, right?
Only one.
Now, my favorite isn't necessarily one that I would go back to and watch all the time. So that's what I'm trying to...
You're on a desert island, so you're going to be watching...
So it's one that I'm going to be watching.
One for all time.
Which is a problem, because you have a TV on this desert island that you can watch stuff, but you can't get off the damn island.
So probably choices like Gilligan's Island or Lost probably wouldn't be the best examples of things.
For many other reasons than just you're on the island.
Let's see. I think I would have to go with something funny. Because humor, you would need that on a deserted island. So, just to piss Jason off right now, I'm going to say Community.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that show.
Yes, I know you're not. Obviously, you're not since you don't watch it. Because as soon as you're familiar with it, you would continue to watch it.
I have watched about 5 episodes, maybe 6.
I don't think you have.
I think I've watched about 3.
I think you watched a half.
And you've watched the wrong episodes if you're not watching it.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ here on this one. You got me all flustered now. 2, I think I watched. Just keep going because I might go down to 1.
Well, like Nick said, you must have watched the wrong episodes.
And I love Joel McHale, but I cannot get into it.
Him.
I do love him. Thank you. He doesn't sing and dance like Hugh Jackman or Nathan Fillion, who I would have beers with, but, I do like Joel McHale. Oh my. So you picked Community, huh?
I'll pick Community.
I will pick the whole series of The Twilight Zone, the 1960s, not the 1980s or the 2000s with Forrest Whitaker as host.
Take them all.
No,
you get them all. Anything called The Twilight Zone, you get.
Okay, I can ignore the Forrest Whitaker ones. I love Twilight Zone. When I was young and single and had no responsibilities, I would lay on my couch on New Year's Day and 4th of July weekend and just watch all the Twilight Zones on Sci-Fi Channel. Now, I get about 6 in, and I DVR the rest, but I love that series. That is my ultimate series that I would go to. Got another one there, Nick?
Yeah, how about books? What kind of books would you guys...
Playboy.
One book to read
sorry.
That's not a book.
Sorry.
It's not even a graphic novel.
It is graphic. It is graphic.
Are we allowed a series of books, or is it only one book?
We'll say series. You can go for a full series. I know. We won't even ask Jason because I know he's going to say Harry Potter, so we'll just go to Jeff.
Oh, that's yours, Nick. Jason won't touch Harry Potter.
Nick prides himself on not being a geek, but he is secretly.
It's all probably just because I'm in the middle of reading it right now. I just finished book 4 of the Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones, and so I want that, especially because if I'm on Desert Island, when books 6 and 7 come out, they can magically appear, and I can be able to find out how it ends.
Can this go back to graphic novels, did you say?
No, it cannot.
Oh, well, shit. You know what? I used to be really big into Stephen King, and then I realized he couldn't figure out how to end a book. And then I was big into James Patterson, kind of got burned out on it. This is a tough one. I will say that probably my favorite book that I will go to is A Dry White Season, which is not the most uplifting book ever about apartheid in South Africa, but I will go with A Dry White Season.
I mean, Stephen King didn't end the Dark Tower series well?
I'd never got into Dark Tower.
You want a depressing book when you're alone on an island forever, and that's what's going to get you...
Have you sensed the theme? Twilight Zone? Dry White Season?
Okay, what's your favorite caliber of gun you're going to have with you on the desert island?
A lightsaber. Is that a gun?
I think you would probably want a blaster.
Blaster. Okay, I'll take a blaster.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to use a lightsaber anyway. You don't have enough midichlorians.
That's true. Can we ignore that like Disney is going to?
My favorite caliber gun. Considering I've never shot a gun in my life, I'll say whichever one propels a bullet forward.
A slingshot can propel a bullet forward.
Then I'll take a slingshot.
I'm going to go with the .22 rifle. You know why? Just because I know it's not the most powerful, but my dad has a really nice one. Love it. I'll go with that. Simple, easy, can kill the animals on the island.
All right, how about a superhero movie?
Only one superhero movie?
One superhero movie. It can be multiple superheroes within that movie, but just one movie.
Jeff's going to go Elektra.
No. It's, as much as watching Jennifer Garner prance around in a bustier is enjoyable, I think I would still go The Avengers. Like I said, it's got them all. It still has, Scarlett Johansson in tight clothes. So, Avengers would be my pick.
It's a tough call for me. I'm thinking Batman and Robin. It's nice to see you.
So you are torturing yourself on this desert island.
Chill out. Well, you gotta admit that it would be a comedy.
Okay, you have to enjoy yourself so by laughing at it.
And it might be the best, representation of Bane in a movie. Let me tell you, the guy that they take the tube off and he shrinks to 100 pounds. God, that movie is awful. Now I'm going to go. It would probably be a close. I would say probably Avengers is a close second, but I'm going to go with Dark Knight with the Joker, Heath Ledger. I think I've seen that movie literally probably 100 times. No lie. My wife could probably attest to that too. Oh, look, it's on again. You got one more, Nick?
Yeah, one more. Off the island, what's something about you that's going to surprise the listeners? in all your geekdom, what's the one thing that might surprise them?
Well, I think that Nick was a Chippendale, or Jeff was a Chippendale dancer was the thing that might surprise you. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't make it. Patrick Swayze beat me out.
Oh, that damn Patrick Swayze. And look what happened to him.
Yes, and that's what he gets for beating me out.
Please send complaints to in care of Jeff now on the Facebook page. Go ahead, Jeff. You can go.
No, I don't have anything yet. This is too in-depth of a question to take off the spur of the moment. You got me perplexed, Nick.
I don't know. That's going to be a good one.
What about me would surprise the listener?
I got one for myself. I'm very, very OCD. Kind of ADHD, possibly, ADD. But yeah, I have to check everything 3 times. I have to touch everything 3 times. Doesn't happen all the time, but as the night goes on, I get more tired, somewhat cranky. I have to check everything 3 times, and I'm a clean freak with everything.
Before we started, he even spun around in his chair 3 times.
I did. I threw up 3 times after I spun around.
Yeah, that's the thing. I suppose I'm the Oscar Madison to his Felix Unger.
Ooh, look at you, odd couple.
Odd couple, because I'm just the opposite. Yeah, I'm anything but a neat freak, as people who actually know me can attest to that.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't have those OCD issues. And they kind of freak me out when you do have them.
Wow, screw you.
You would like that.
Only on Wednesdays. Okay. So you all good there, Color Man?
Yeah, back to you, Jason.
Thank you, Cut Man.
Cut Man.
Can't give yourself a nickname.
I want to be called Hammer, but I can't be called Hammer. You know why?
Can't give yourself a nickname.
Can't give yourself a nickname.
Ooh, that's another one. Instead of Twilight Zone, could do Sports Night. Oh, that is a beautiful show,
How about
too.
Thor? You can be Thor.
I don't want to be Thor. We already got a Thor on our softball team.
He's going to be Sif.
I could do Sif.
Okay, moving on. As a meet and greet with your host. Next thing is Geek News.
Geek News.
And probably the biggest thing that has hit since Jesse Eisenberg became Lex Luthor last week.
Yay!
I'm warming up to it. Is Paul Bettany, best known for his great role in A Knight's Tale, is going to be he's going to be Vision in the Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Supposedly he's going to be all white. The outfit's white with a little green and yellow. It was first reported by the Daily Mail, and then pretty much every internet website got it. He is the voice of Jarvis right now, Tony Stark's little voice butler. So I think it makes sense. They just take him that voice. Tony Stark decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'll make a robot that will help me instead.
Is that what the Vision's going to be? A
bodyguard?
Well, is that how it's going to start?
I don't know. I'm just making that up.
Okay, because I'm like, in the comic books, Vision was created by Ultron.
Oh, that is true. That is correct.
So I'm assuming they're at least going to go with that. Maybe Ultron will steal, some of Tony Stark's computer stuff, and that's why he's got the voice of Jarvis. I don't know how they'll explain that.
Well, and like we've talked about before, I think they're throwing every single superhero into this film.
Why not? Why not?
In Joss, I trust Joss Whedon, so that's fine. But the other rumor is that Ms. Marvel is coming into this one, too.
Okay.
Which is interesting. Are you going to do Carol Danvers, or are you going to do... I'm thinking it's going to be Carol. Or they just released Ms. Marvel #1 that just... I think the hit this week. I was looking at the comic book store yesterday, and she's I believe, a Middle Eastern descent in the new one.
Okay, so the new Ms. Marvel, that's not Carol Danvers.
Correct.
I would think that, if they're trying to push their new comic books, they might go ahead and...
That's what I was thinking. But I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't think she's that much of a beloved character. I mean, I think she is great in the flow of the books, but it's not something that's going to get people up in arms about who Miss Marvel is.
And to be honest with you, she's probably going to be in there for 5 minutes like Gwyneth Paltrow was in the first Avengers. Hey, I'm here. Have a good day. Anything else on Vision, Jeff? You all right with that?
Well, I'm fine with that. I was just wondering. I know with Vision, I know a lot of people, just like what the color that Vision's going to be. Because, like you said, I know they reported, it's going to be the ash white Vision, and other people are like, but Vision's red and green. I was just wondering your opinion on that.
Have you seen? Could you imagine having Vision red and green, like the red and green in comic books? There's a reason why they don't put the X-Men in yellow and blue. It doesn't look good. And it's a different medium. Get over it. There's going to make changes to everything. Yeah. And I'm fine with that.
I agree. I liked the white, pure all-white Vision better than the multicolored one anyway, so...
Will Moon Knight be in it? Can we get Moon Knight?
No.
They just released his new book again for the 8th time in the last, 6 years.
But it's Moon Knight. You guys want to love Moonlight.
No, we don't. Next geek news, we already talked about a little bit, was Deathlock appeared on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We talked about that. Thought it was handled well. Liked it.
I thought it was handled well. I liked the storyline, the way they did it. I just wish I wouldn't have been spoiled by it. I knew it was Deathlock going into the episode.
Who spoiled it?
I think it was you.
Oh, well, you shouldn't listen to our podcast then until you watch the episode.
I didn't even know it was going to be coming out.
Damn Jason.
Damn me. And let's see. And this is for Jason in Ohio about the Arrow news. Again, not much Arrow news, but the Hollywood Reporter's stating that actors have been cast to play the civilian forms in the new CW Flash show. The characters would eventually go on to become Vibe and the Pied Piper. And they also casted Killer Frost last week and the Reverse Flash. So,
interesting. I'm not sure how much I like Vibe, but the Pied Piper was always an interesting character. Friend, good guy, bad guy, that type of dynamic. So that's always interesting to see how they'll play that in the new show.
And one of the first gay characters come out as a bad guy.
Come out as a bad guy.
Yeah. He switched over, not to come out.
it's like, well, he was the first gay character to say he's a bad guy. That's the way you described it.
Let me explain that. He was a bad guy. Not because he was gay. Nothing wrong with that. He was a bad guy.
All gay characters are good. He was the first one to be bad.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. You got anything over there, Nick? How are you doing? You all right?
I'm just wondering, the Pied Piper's superpower, is it like bringing rodents into town and then out of town? He's
Jeff,
bad
Google
when
that.
he takes
Google
them
his
out?
superpower.
Well, he does have this music thing, and it's kind of like a mind control thing.
It's pretty awful.
But
yeah, it sounds as awful as it is then.
I like the character, but when you see him holding the flute,
Does he have
whatever? It's awful. It's not good.
Does he have the Robin Hood tights with the hat
He
and
does
the feather?
He doesn't have the feather. He has a hood. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like Andre the Giant with his cloak in the Princess Bride. What's that called, Jeff? What did he do?
the Holocaust cloak?
Thank you. Now, if we had one of those,
Why didn't you tell me you had a Holocaust cloak? Now, if we only had a wheelbarrow.
Never leave home without a Holocaust.
no. Rodents of unusual size? They don't exist.
All right. He became obsessed with sound and experimented with sonic technology, which he used to invent a technique of hypnotism through music.
Wow. So he's kind of like the Revenge of the Nerds at the end when they're doing the music.
Yeah, whatever. That's it. He's all of the nerds wrapped into one.
They could update it for the TV show, and he could have one of those keyboards strapped to him.
Oh,
That would be
guitar?
I like it.
Oh, well, then he'd be the pied guitarist.
You could do Piper. It would be like a twist on words, maybe. It would be ironic. I don't think I'm using that word.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Oh, God. Anyways, and the beers and the alcohol is just beginning. Okay. So there's your Flash news. That starts in October, I believe, of next year.
Yeah, October. Next year or this year?
Or this year, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It is 2014.
You worried me.
And looking forward to it. Looking forward to that one. If they're just as good as Arrow, I'm very happy. And then, long one here, Deadline.com reports that former Mad Men executive producers Andre and Maria, I cannot say that last word, their last names, Jacques Metten, Nick, you're the color man. What do you think?
Jackie Menton.
Okay, we're going with that until they come on the show. Then they can correct us.
We'll invite them on, and they can correct us.
Come on, guys, into the Bob Studios. Have teamed up with Gravity producer David Heyman for a new drama series based on the DC comic book DMZ. According to the site, it's set in the near future and centers on a young man trapped in Manhattan, which has been turned into a demilitarized zone, DMZ, after a second American Civil War. The only negative side is that it's going to be on the Sci-Fi Channel. So there you go.
Well, what's wrong with the Sci-Fi Channel? Just because they do bad things doesn't mean they can't do good things, too.
It is Sharknado.
Yeah.
Jinx, thank you.
Sharknado is a good thing.
Did you see Sharknado, Nick?
No.
Oh, everybody on Twitter is talking about it. Not that I'm on Twitter, but from everything I saw on the websites, everybody's talking about it on Twitter. They're making a sequel. It takes place in New York.
Isn't it something with an alligator, too? Some giant
That
crazy
was like Placid.
Okay.
With Betty White. And they made 3 or 4 of those. Check that up, too, Jeff. Oh. Lake Placid. I want to know how many they made. Because Betty White was in at least 2 of those. And I remember watching that at the movie theaters, too. It was a good movie. Just a little bit more information on DMZ. It was a Vertigo comic book series. Ran for a total of 72 issues between 2005 and 2012. So there you go. There's a little news right there. Any thoughts on that, Jeff? Obviously, you don't have an issue with sci-fi.
No, I don't have an issue with sci-fi. I like sci-fi. There's some shows on there I enjoy.
Twilight Zone Marathon? That's about it. They did Battlestar Galactica, I'll give you that.
Okay, yeah, they did Battlestar Galactica, and then the spin-offs of that. They did was Being Human, the American version. Not as good as the British version, but I like that one anyway. Face Off, they do the Face Off
with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta?
No.
Did you know that? Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to change bodies and faces.
Not that awful movie.
They made a TV series of it?
No, it's a makeup and what do you call it? Special effect competition show.
I've seen it. I just like seeing you struggle trying to describe it.
Go to hell.
Jeff, all you had to do was go to Jason and say, Nicolas Cage, you mean your favorite actor?
He is my favorite actor. Season of the Witch. Let's see. Drive Angry.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
Ooh, I do have that on DVD. It is a good film.
You guys are doing this to me on purpose, aren't you?
Delroy Lindo? Oh, he's awesome in it. You know, he wrecks the whole city, but he learns a lesson at the end. Nicolas Cage, you go ahead and let go. It's for your brother.
Top of your list, Raising Arizona.
That was actually a decent one.
That's the good movie he was in, yeah.
The one.
Whoa, Ghost Rider.
So Raising Arizona was a good movie he was in.
Ghost Rider was great. He was on his... Okay, never mind. Moving on.
I'm finding it looks like 4 Lake Placids.
Okay, what was the last one? The last one had the best title.
Lake Placid, the final chapter?
Yes, because it was the final one.
Yeah, well, they did that with Friday the 13th. They had the final chapter. That was like the 4th one, and then they had the 5th one, and then the 6th one, and then all the way to the 12th or 13th one.
In all due respect, Jason Voorhees needed to go to New York. So he needed to come back after the final chapter.
Apparently he didn't even get to New York.
Didn't it?
Like Jason Takes Manhattan, I was reading somewhere they complained that it took place on the boat going to Manhattan, so they were all stuck on a boat.
Well, he was on top of an apartment building.
He might get to Manhattan like almost towards the end of the movie.
If you had to go through New Jersey to get to Manhattan, wouldn't you be killing people too?
That's a good call. That's a good call.
We apologize to all our listeners in New Jersey. I know we don't have any yet, but when you do listen to this, if you want to complain, that is Nic Carmosino.
History of Bad Ideas podcast on Facebook.
We will forward any and all angry letters to Nick. Happy letters we'll keep ourselves.
There you go. And the final bit of news, RoboCop, shudder, is coming out, and it's rated PG-13. Now, the first issue I have with this...
is that they redid RoboCop?
Yes, I was getting to that. My issue is, everybody holds the original in such high esteem, it's not a good film.
No, it's not, but they're not going to improve on it. As much as it's not that good of a film, it's not going to be better.
Well, what was it? The original one was directed by Paul Verhoeven or whatever? Verhoeven?
Something like that.
Yeah. And it was basically a satire of action films. And I get that. It's just, I think people that saw it back in the 80s when they were kids think that it was this great film, and they haven't seen it in the last 30, 20 years. And they shouldn't, because it's going to tarnish their image. It's not a good film. Did you see that, Nick, when you were growing up?
No.
Really?
It was rated R. He wasn't old enough to see it.
My brothers were bringing R-rated shows home at the age of 6, and I think at that point my parents just gave up. They're just like, go ahead and watch it, because the first R-rated film I saw was Police Academy.
Okay.
From the video store, my brothers brought it home. My dad got mad, and then he's like, forget it, I don't care. Pretty much like that. Go ahead and watch it. What was your first R-rated?
Oh, God, I have no clue. I know the first one I saw in a movie theater, that was Platoon.
Oh, okay.
But as far as we when we got cable in the house and we had some HBO, we'd sneak down into the basement where the TV was set up and watch in the middle of the night. So we saw a lot of stuff.
Zapped, was that rated R?
Zapped was rated R.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was nudity.
Yeah, there was a lot of nudity.
Yes, right.
Zapped 2 might not have been. I don't remember.
With Willie Ames, I think one of them had them.
I think for me in the theater it was Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Okay, because it wasn't 3, because that was PG-13. Oh, that worked out well. Did you ever sneak when you were a kid before you were allowed legally to watch them?
Probably, but I can't remember yesterday, so I can't remember.
Maybe The Cars 8 Paris. The Cars 8 Paris. That was a good R-rated film. Man, I remember all my R-rated films. I think it was just because it was so taboo.
Ooh, The Sweetest Taboo by Sade.
Of course, after I saw Police Academy, I was like, this is rated R. Why is this rated R?
Yeah, that one Do you even get boobs in that one?
I think you might in the shower scene. Okay. I think you might.
And the only time I've seen it recently is edited on television, so I don't remember there being boobs in it, but there's no reason other than just to throw boobs in it for it to be rated R.
I think Nick has an account at Mr. Skid. Maybe you should ask him. I think he might have an account there. Nick?
Not this week.
Okay.
I got suspended for a couple weeks from too many downloads.
Too many downloads?
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon is pretty hot in White Palace. With James Spader.
I got nothing.
Okay. I brought out a new thing. I forgot. I didn't tell Jeff this. I got 2 new little side steps here as my Peter Brady voice just went up. I got box office bomb news, which I've been enjoying the box office bomb. What do you think, Jeff? Last time I think we did Ronin, we did Ronin, and then we did something else. I don't know. This week it's the Legend of Hercules. Made a total of $23 million at the box office on a budget of $70 million.
I honestly forgot they even had that movie. I'm looking at your notes and I'm like, Legend of Hercules? Is that the one from the 70s? I'm like, oh, they did put out a new Hercules movie.
You said you didn't want to go with me at midnight to watch it. I was all for it.
Okay. You want to go tonight at midnight?
It's already on DVD. We can rent it. Is there a Blockbuster around?
No.
Okay, you want to go see it at midnight, but you'll go see anything at midnight.
I'll see pretty much any movie.
And anything that happens after midnight isn't good.
No. Especially if a movie's under 90 minutes. I'm guessing Legend of Hercules, though, is one of those that the studio's like, oh, this is going to be epic. Let's make it 6 hours long. I think it will be good.
It's a long one, even?
I have no idea. I'm just guessing. Legend of Hercules is not going to be under 90 minutes. I will say that. So Legend of Hercules joins Ronin. Is it Ronin 47? With Keanu Reeves?
47 Ronin.
Whatever. They didn't care about the script. I'm not caring about the title. Let's just go with that. That bombed. Legend of Hercules. Unfortunately, Ride Along with Kevin Hart and... Who is that? Ice Cube?
Yeah, Ice Cube.
Oh my! How is that number 1 at the box office 3 weeks in a row?
And everything that I've heard on that movie is that it is awful. It's not even funny. Every funny piece of that movie they showed in the previews.
There was no funny parts in the previews, so that's not a good sign. My whole take is, I can get past superhero movies because you know what they are. But the ride-along, it doesn't make sense. Oh, you only can marry my sister if you go on a ride-along? Nowhere in this world does that make any lick of sex. Nobody would ever do that. I'm sorry.
Yes, you can't make sense in this world if you do something goofy like that.
If you want to see a funny movie with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube about a ride-along, look it up when they're riding along with Conan.
Yes.
And watch that.
Conan O'Brien.
Because that is hilarious.
Oh, I thought they meant Conan the Barbarian.
No, Conan the Librarian.
He was a good one.
He was.
Just to let you know, the Legend of Hercules is 99 minutes.
Oh.
So it beats the 90-minute mark by 9 minutes.
They got 99 problems and money ain't one.
The money is the number one.
Oh, best color man in the business. And then I'm going to make my own theme music for this. John Noble is a god. John Noble. The John Noble news of the week is John Noble has directed over 80 plays. 80.
80. Is it 80 like different plays or one play 80 times?
I don't really care. As according to the theme song, he's a god.
And you know, he was in Lord of the Rings.
I was going to bring that up too. Did you know he played a king in Lord of the Rings?
I'm not familiar with that show, that movie. Is it a TV show? Is it a book? Magazine?
Both.
Oh, magazine?
All of the above, I'm
Lord
sure.
of the Rings magazine. Don't you have that?
Is that with the Star Wars Insider?
The Shire Daily.
And actually, Nick, he was the steward of Gondor, not the king. So before we get angry letters,
The stewardess? The stewardess?
no,
Is that
steward.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Well, it's John Noble, so you tell me, is he going to be? Are you making fun of him? That's what you're doing?
No.
Calling him a stewardess?
I think that was his twin brother, Jimmy Noble. That's a fun fact, too. I can't back that up, but I think it was Jimmy Noble, not John Noble, that was in that movie. I'm just going with that. Okay, and then Jeff, got any hidden gems this week?
Let me see. Well, actually, I suppose this might actually fall in the news. I probably should have mentioned this. I just found out today, and you guys probably won't even know what I'm talking about.
Nope.
But I just saw that the Kickstarter campaign for Knights of the Dinner Table movie has passed, and they're going to go ahead and make that.
What is that?
It's a comic cartoon about pretty much people who sit around a dinner table and play role-playing games.
Okay.
It's been around since the mid-'90s, and I think they're just 205th issue just came out recently. So apparently, and I missed it, they had a Kickstarter campaign that just ended like 2 days ago. They're trying to get a live-action movie together. And apparently they got their budget, so it is going to be greenlit, and I'm looking forward to it, and you guys don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's okay, that's why it's a hidden gem.
I'm hoping that this is role-playing in a bunch of guys sitting around a table, and then the sexy nurse walks in, and then the stewardess walks in, and then they walk out, and they have their role-playing games.
The sexy nurse is played by a 45-year-old, 600-pound man. That's the role-playing, maybe.
Wearing a Wookiee mask.
See, and you people claim to be geeks.
I am a geek. Hey, you know what? If it doesn't hurt anybody, go for it. I don't care. You can dress up like Jabba the Hutt and have Slave Leia.
I'm not dressing up. Role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons, they're rolling dice. I mean, geez.
I beg to differ. They probably do dress up to play those games.
Again.
Well, they don't in that comic. Well, okay, maybe some of them do. But that's only when they're playing the Western games, they wear the hats.
And there's nothing wrong with the role-playing games. I have no issues with it. I don't play them, but again, if it makes you happy, more power to you. And the money that Magic the Gathering has made, you can't laugh at that. I will take a slice of that. Is that all your hidden gems?
I also would like to throw out a thing on the cracked.com website, America's Humor website.
Great website.
They've got their video show, the Cracked After Hours. And I just have to throw out, if you want to look for something, little 5-minute shorts or whatever. They've got like 3 seasons worth of those done. And it's 4 of their writers kind of sitting around talking about some fun topics, things like why Spider-Man is actually bad at his job, or they also have Indiana Jones, why he's bad at his job.
Because he jumps into a refrigerator.
Why Batman is actually terrible for the city of Gotham. Which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle are you? every group of four, they talk about how each group of four has 4 different archetypes, and they talk about all these different things. From the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the Sex and the City Girls, they all fit into 4 archetypes.
And they both kind of look alike, both groups. Actually, Sex and the City and the Turtles.
They do.
They kind of do.
There's no turtle that looks like a horse.
Why aren't you coming to bed, Matthew Broderick? Well, which turtle are you? Did you take that test?
It wasn't actually a test. It was them just sitting around discussing.
Oh, okay.
I forgot which one I would have been.
I was always a big fan of Donatello.
Because he does machines.
That doesn't sound right. And he does have a staff. Nick, you used to play the Turtles?
Well, I think I'd have to be Michelangelo because I could eat pizza literally for any meal, any time of day, every day, all the time.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think I fell into the Raphael.
Oh, you're the dickhead of the group.
I'm the loner, the rebel.
That is not you. Come on, Jeff, we're going this way. Okay.
I'm the brooding guy in the corner who doesn't like anything.
Switzerland!
Well, I'm not going to argue, but I think you're both right. I don't want to take sides. I'm just saying, you're both right. Well, I got 2. We try not to throw out other podcasts because we want you to listen to us. But when we find a decent one, want to get it out there, a good one, it's called the Best of the Worst Movies podcast. And basically, it's 2 guys sitting around and very high quality podcast. They basically watch a movie. I heard the one today was Par Blart Mall Cop.
Oh, wow. They actually should get credit for actually having to put up with watching the movie.
Yes. And then the other one that I listened to, and the reason why I saw their podcast and I was interested in it, they did the movie that Jeff and I have seen, and I think it was one of the first movies we saw together, Ballistics, X vs. Sever.
That was the worst movie of the 2000s according to Rotten Tomato.
It got a 0%.
Yeah, and it had the most ratings with a 0% average.
And like I said, they're very funny guys. They do a lot of fun facts on the show. That's how I knew about the Rotten Tomatoes 0%. And they did have a point in the Ballistics X vs. Sever for the title. I think there was literally 5 minutes worth of fighting. That is what they said. And I think I have to agree with them. Well, between those two.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. It was probably about 5 minutes of fighting because they had the motorcycle chase. The slowest motorcycle chase in the history of cinema that had to take off. I'd have to say at least 40 minutes worth of them driving 3 miles an hour.
And there was an old man on scooters passing them.
Yes.
So check them out. Best of the Worst Movie Podcast. It's on iTunes, I think Stitcher, and everything else. So just want to give a little shout out to those guys. And then the other thing is Twilight Zone. It's a Twilight Zone themed thing for me tonight. I just picked it up yesterday, the first 2 issues. It's a new comic book by J. Michael Straczynski, and really nicely drawn. It's by, I can't remember the guy's name that drew it. It's Guili, I think, something like that is his first name. But J. Michael Straczynski wrote it. The first 2 issues, I thought it was just going to be a new issue, new story every issue. It looks like there might be some connecting story, like this one. The first 2 issues are about the same guy, so I'm figuring, after every 3 to 5 issues, it might go into another plot. But if you're a fan of the Twilight Zone series, take a look at it. I was very happy with it. So that's my 2 hidden gems this week. So, and then next thing is just a couple shout outs again to some people helping us out there to get our word out. Is Up and Away is a comic book shop in Cincinnati, Ohio. They've been supportive of the show, and Kendall is the owner out there, been great. And they actually run they're one of the runners of Cincy Comic Con, which is coming in September. I think September 5th through the 7th, which is a Comic Con more devoted to pretty much the comic book enthusiast. You have a lot of the artists and the writers are there.
Yeah, they want to really put out the word on the comic creators. They don't necessarily. They enjoy, all the media stuff or whatever, but they really want to bring back the purism to the comic book conventions, not get all out of hand with trying to get, a D-list celebrity who was in some
Lord of the Rings
show or something like that. They're all A-list from Lord of the Rings,
Sorry.
especially John Noble,
Jimmy Noble.
But they don't need minor characters from the fourth rendition of
Camelot.
Yeah, okay, Camelot. I was going to say the not the Teenage Mutant Ninja
Power Rangers?
Power Rangers, thank you.
Is Roger there?
No, Roger is not going to be there. He's elsewise detained.
Yes. Poor Roger. So check them out. They're on the west side of Cincinnati, and if you're from Cincinnati, you know what that means. It's split between west side and east side. So just wanted to give a shout out to Up and Away, and there you go.
Why's it got to be about sides?
It's always about sides. You gotta take it. West side or east side. North or south. Or as in Jeff's case, he's the middle. I'll take the middle.
Okay.
I don't want me.
I don't want to offend anyone. I'm downtown.
Don't mind me.
Red lasers, blue lasers?
Red pill, blue pill? I was going to go with that.
Red light, blue light?
G.I. Joe's what he was going with.
Oh, okay.
Oh, make fun of us for role playing. Yeah. And finally, we got top 5 toys from your childhood. Is our top 5 this week. Any theme music for that, Jeff?
No, we don't have any theme music, but before we get into this week, we've got a reader question, I think, from our Jump the Shark issue. You must have overlooked that.
I did overlook that.
Yeah, Joey wanted to know if any of us thought of either X-Files or Lost in our Jump the Shark list.
Ooh. Go ahead, Jeff. You're a big Lost fan.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm a big Lost fan. In my opinion, they didn't jump the shark. So they got lost a little bit. No pun intended. Okay, pun intended.
Bump.
Yeah, they hit a bump in the 3rd season, and that was pretty much because they didn't know how long they were going to have to do it, so they were actually kind of trying to stretch it out. They got back on track once they knew they were just going to do 6 seasons, and I honestly enjoyed the entire run. I even liked the little bump they had. I know a lot of people complained about some of the plot points they put out there, but when they came to fruition, I thought they actually did a good job of that. So Lost did not jump the shark, in my opinion.
Did they do 6 seasons in a film?
They didn't do the movie.
Come on, give me the Community
reference. I was about to say, you're not even supposed to get that reference.
Come on, give me props on that. Oh yeah, you only saw 2 episodes. Yeah. Screw you, Jeff.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yep. Too bad it's
Do you know what show they were referring to on 6 seasons in a movie?
No.
The Cape.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, he claimed that they were going to have 6 seasons in a movie.
Oh, man. And they did 10 episodes. That's it. Did you see The Cape?
Oh, I watched The Cape, yeah.
Okay. Nick, did you?
No.
I'm not even asking you.
Yeah.
And then X-Files. With that, I was never a fan of the X-Files, so I can't really say when it jumped the shark. I know it jumped the shark because I discussed it with other people who were fans. Most of them were saying, when David Duchovny left and they replaced Mulder, but from my understanding, it had been slowly dragging on and kind of slowly losing quality as it went on. But it was a show I never really got into, so I can't really judge that one accurately.
Well, the problem is they changed Mulder's character out with the cousins. Isn't that right? I thought.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't even know what you're referring to.
I have no idea. Anyways, move on.
Oh, jeez.
I know Mulder and Scully, and that's just because it's the name of the Kevin Smith's dogs.
I was making a bad joke about the Dukes of
Yeah,
Hazzard.
he's referring to Bo and Luke being replaced by
Coy
Coy
and
and
Vance. Which would have been interesting, Coy and Vance in the X-Files.
That would have been, yeah.
X-Files, I actually did like the X-Files for the first probably 4 or 5 seasons. I thought when Mulder left, it did not help the show, obviously. I think the problem was that the issue was that they strung out the mystery for so long, and I think that's the problem. People can say the same thing about Lost, that they strung it out forever. Now, in hindsight, when you see the ending, I think it was a good idea. You couldn't show that, hey, they're dead or they're in purgatory or whatever. So I think that was the issue. But I liked X-Files. I thought it got a little too long-winded in terms of the conspiracy theories and everything. And I think they just never resolved it. I think that was when, I don't know if there's an exact moment jumped the shark, but when they kept saying, oh, aliens are coming, aliens are coming. Oh, look, there's Bigfoot.
No, it's always aliens with you.
Hold on, they all died and lost. They were. God, I haven't finished watching. God!
How many seasons are you behind, Nick?
1.
Okay. Well,
Now I don't have to watch it anymore.
wait a minute, you're in season 1 or you're one season behind?
Oh, no, season 1.
Okay, good.
Dude, we're way behind.
Okay. Well, so we can do a marathon Lost, and then I can do a marathon. You can come over and do a marathon Breaking Bad, because I'm 3 seasons behind on that, or 4. How many seasons do you have? 5?
Breaking Bad had 5.
Okay.
What's this Breaking Bad you're speaking of?
It's about Michael Jackson making the video Bad.
Oh.
It's a 5-season documentary. So, really well done. Really
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, please do.
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing.
Sorry, I was 6 when that came out. Okay, now can we do the top 5?
Now we can go and move into top 5.
Well, we've had plenty of time now, Jeff. Come on, do some theme song to the top 5.
Do 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 do.
Top 5.
Oh, yeah. This week's top 5. Take it away, Jeff. What is the category?
Top 5 toys from your childhood. I would have to preface this by saying it was supposed to be non-video game toys, but apparently Jason had to throw video games into his list.
And Nick's in this group, too. We're going to have our guest do the top 5 with us. And Nick and I grew up the same time in the 80s and early 90s when we were kids, so...
Yeah, I was born in late 70s, early 80s, so I'm a little older than these two.
We said childhood, not college age.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Flames
on the side of my face. Burning. Heaving breath.
To make a long story short,
Too late.
we all arrived one by one. Okay, so top 5 toys from your childhood. Jeff, you go first with number 5.
Well, since I have to adjust my list since we can use video games.
Okay, never mind. Nick, you go first. Top of number 5.
All right, I have a feeling my list is going to be slightly different from your guys' list.
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, we'll go
Shortcake?
check local listings, but this has been a little colder and snowier winter than usual, and sticking with that theme, my number 5 is my good, trusty, flexible flyer sled.
Wow. Going old school.
I never had one of the good flexible flyer sleds. We just had toboggans and stuff.
Take it over to the park, go down the hill, jump out onto the lake.
I was jealous of the people with the good, nice runner sleds.
Did you call yours Rosebud?
I did not. I didn't have it. Nick
Oh,
did.
did you call it Rosebud?
No, it wasn't called Rosebud.
Oh, okay.
We even had ours modified. It took too many jumps. The wood across the bottom broke, and it was actually upgraded to steel.
Wow.
Support frames. Yeah,
So you're like Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation? Later, dude, and just go zoom.
Everything except for the spray.
Okay. Well, since I added video games to my list, I had to knock...
Pong.
I had to knock the big wheel off my list. That's what I had at number 5, but...
What
now
type-
entering...
Time out. What type of big wheel did you have?
I had the big wheel.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The original. Come on.
You got to have a type. I mean, we'll get to mine
It
later.
was called the big wheel.
I had the Dukes of Hazzard big wheel. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. It came in a box that said big wheel.
My bad. Okay, so go
Some
ahead.
assembly required, but it's not on my list anymore. So my new number 5 is Legos.
Okay.
They probably would be higher up on my list, but we actually didn't own any Legos. We had to go to the neighbors to play Legos.
You didn't have any Legos?
My mother bought lock blocks. And believe me, they are nowhere close to Legos. Unless you want to build a red and white wall, that's all they're good for.
The GoBots of Lego.
the GoBots of Lego. I mean, I think GoBots were better than they were. But so... We played a lot of Legos, but we had to do it at other people's houses. So since I didn't have my own Legos growing up...
You were like an orphan. Sorry.
Hey, you
Sure,
got
Jeff.
generic GoBots, so I don't want to hear about it.
Yes, Jeff can come in and play with our Legos.
Jeff is back again. He's like, turn off the lights, turn off the lights.
Sir, can I have some more Legos?
Wow. My famous thing is with the Legos is I got a castle one year for Christmas, and I've told you this off air before, Jeff. I couldn't figure it out because it was like 500 pieces, and Jeff can attest, I don't do puzzles well. I don't do anything.
Jason's not allowed to build things.
I can put stickers on, shut
upside down.
Supposedly. Anyways, so my dad just got as equally frustrated as I did on the castle, so we finally figured it out and we glued it.
Wow. Okay.
Let me tell you, so every time we wanted to play with that castle, I just brought it out and put it on the ground. Never had to build it again.
The point of it was to construct it and construct other things out of it, or make bigger castles when you get more Legos. Wow, I think you missed the point of Legos.
All I know is it was fixed. My number 5, and I had so many different ones I was trying to think about. I have 3 older brothers, so I got a lot of the older toys sent down, Fisher-Price, Star Wars, all that stuff. But my favorite toy is a board game called Mystery Mansion.
Favorite, we're going 5th favorite right now.
Yes, 5th.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, 5th. My 5th favorite. Mystery Mansion. And it was a board game, but they came in these little tiles, each room. It was kind of like Clue, but instead of finding who killed somebody, you were looking for a treasure chest. And let me tell you, I could explain it for 45 minutes, and I still don't think you would get the whole idea, because it took forever to explain.
And this is coming from someone who doesn't like role-playing.
It's not...
You're going around exploring rooms in a castle looking for treasures, or a mansion looking for treasures.
Google it. It is a real board game.
I'm sure it is.
But
and it sounds very much like it was probably based off of a Dungeons & Dragons.
I think my older brother, one up from me, actually got it. And when they were... I would play it with them, but when they were gone, I would just get it out and pretend play with it. And I loved that game. But you would like make your own rooms, so the board was never the same because you had these little board room tiles, like utility room, in this giant mansion, a solarium, which was my favorite room, and then you got these these cards for keys, and you had to match it up with treasures. It's a great game. Just trust me on it. If I could find that reasonably, and I could find somebody that would play it with me, I would buy it.
Released by Milton Bradley Company in 1984.
Yep, I was thinking that, mid-'80s.
This sounds like something that you would see on Parks and Rec that Ben would create.
Yes.
Like the Cones of Dunshire.
Yes.
I did the BuzzFeed which Parks and Rec character are you? I was Ben Wyatt.
That does not surprise me at all.
And did you watch the Rob Lowe Leaving?
Yes.
That was
the only
awesome
thing
episode.
They did a good job. It's one of the better character leaving stories I've seen on the show.
That would be my second would be the Rob Lowe character, just for the OCD-ness of the character in the show.
Well, my wife is pregnant, so she called up yesterday and was upset. She was hurting or something, and all I did was, that sucks. She's a Parks and Rec fan too, and she laughed, and then she said something else to her, and I said, that sucks. She goes, don't be a dickhead. So,
good times.
Good times. Jeff, you got number 4.
Let's see. Number 4 was the Fisher-Price Little People.
Ooh.
Did
you have to go to the neighbors for that too?
No, they can't come to us. We had all Fisher-Price Little People. Growing up, 2 older sisters and a younger brother, and that's what. And when we were real little, that's what we got. Like every birthday or Christmas, we just got a new thing for. So we had tons of Fisher-Price Little People. Tons.
It's because of the world.
The world.
Starting with the house and the village and. We got the airport, and the McDonald's, and the Holiday Inn.
You had the McDonald's?
The farm? The farm?
The
farm?
Yeah, you have to have the farm.
My son has the farm that I got when I was a kid upstairs.
But, they were cool until they got into... They were no longer the wooden characters, and then they turned them into, like, square plastic. That's what the McDonald's and the Holiday Inn came with, the square plastic ones, and that's kind of when we started phasing out, because we were getting too old for... those toys.
Did you have the castle?
We did not have a castle.
My older brother had the castle. That was pretty sharp. You had the dragon, but the dragon was pink. So you're like, well, that's not a very scary dragon.
So you painted the dragon and then moved on.
Nick, you go ahead, number 4.
Well, speaking of castles, and it was almost number 4, but it wasn't, was Castle Grayskull for me, but I went with the Transformers.
Ooh.
Because I had the Transformers, and I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but it was the group of 4 or 5 or 6 of them possibly that all combined into one bigger one.
Oh, what was his
There
name?
were a couple different ones that I thought. And this
Was
is
that
somebody who I was too old to actually play with them.
He still did, but he
I
was
still did, but I had a younger brother, so I
was that the bad guy?
I can't remember. I think it was jets or fighter planes that did it, but I can't remember which one exactly it was. Yeah.
Didn't they have one that was like the base? Like you put a couple of them together and they built a base, like a bad guy base? I thought.
See, this wasn't one. This was one that actually moved up into a Transformer character, like.
Oh, so actually a guy.
Yeah, a person
so
or
like
a
Voltron.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, there you go. I got number 4. Speaking of Grayskull, I just got He-Man action figures. Oh my god, I love those. I think I probably had about 30 of those. I had Castle Grayskull. I never had, was it Snake Mountain? I think that was what it's called. The bad guy's lair, Skeletor's. He had the microphone. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He had the microphone. I never had that. That was the one I wanted. And then you look at it like now, and it was like it had a microphone and like a pit that you fell into. I was like, that's the cheapest thing I've ever seen.
Speaking of those, I know exactly at my parents' house where I could go right now and find it. A Christmas present that my parents hid that was never given is the snake that spits that you fill up with water and sprays, still in the package. That I don't think anybody else would even have a clue that it's there.
You should get it. You need to. I had the elephant that spit. Do you remember that guy?
No, I don't.
He was dressed in an orange jumpsuit and he had an elephant head. No, I had older guys, newer guys. He-Man. I loved the He-Man character.
The He-Man battle plate.
Which one was that?
The one that was the He-Man with the plate on the front that
Yes,
you hit
the
different
damage
times.
plate?
Yeah.
Yes, I did have that one that rolled over. I never had Battle Cat though. I never had any of the cats. I was very jealous of that. Did you have She-Ra?
No, I don't think I ever had She-Ra.
Did you watch She-Ra?
No.
I did. I did. I watched He-Man and She-Ra. And then do you remember they made He-Man in outer space?
That sounds probably as bad as it was.
I think it was like late 90s. We were older, mind you. But I did watch it and I just kept looking like, this is not good. Like his whole planet blew up. So everyone dead except for He-Man and Skeletor. They're the only ones that got
And I'm guessing at that point He-Man looked like something out of a bad porn movie.
Pretty close to it. Pretty close. He had the 1970s space outfit on. That was the downside. What are you looking up over there, Jeff?
I'm looking up the name of Skeletor's castle, and there's a big debate online where they're saying, "Oh, he's in Grayskull." I'm like, no, he's in Snake Mountain. So put the
Snake
castle.
Mountain.
Yeah, and they're like arguing back and forth online whether it was Grayskull or Snake Mountain that Skeletor was from.
Truly first world
I
problem.
was like, Skeletor, unless...
He was in...
Oh, okay. The question that I just saw, this is on Yahoo Answers, was who is He-Man's enemy and what's the name of his castle? His could refer to He-Man or He-Man's enemy in the question. That, I think, is where people are having problems. I'm like, but Grayskull is where He-Man gets his powers from.
From the sorceress. My number 3 is Nintendo / Super Nintendo. The Nintendo, I was late to the party because my parents didn't want to buy me one at that point because everyone else was older. Didn't want to buy me one because we had an Atari 2600 still in 1987. And the Atari 2600 is perfectly fine for everything. No, Mom, it isn't. I need a Nintendo. So I did get the Nintendo. It was great. 92, Super Nintendo. My world, I think it was 92 or 90. Super Nintendo came out. My world changed. I saved up for it. That is quite possible. That is my favorite system of all time. So I spent many, many hours. In fact, so much that on the Super Nintendo that my grades started dipping. I've never been grounded in my life. I was kind of grounded off the Super Nintendo. So that's my number 3. Nick?
My number 3 is going back to what you talked about actually before. I also had the Dukes of Hazzard Big Wheel, and you can't forget the Dukes of Hazzard Big Wheel with the suicide brake.
Yes.
You had to include, it's not just the Dukes of Hazzard Big Wheel, you got to throw in that suicide brake because you pull that thing and you don't know what's going to happen.
Did it have a horn?
No.
Oh, come on.
It did have tassels, because that's just a touch of class right
They
there.
all had tassels.
Well, these were orange and white, whatever.
Black. I think it was orange. Orange with black
black.
tires. With the it
I just
was.
remember the black tires with the suicide braid.
It had the suicide braid.
And the black tires were all scraped up by the end. That's good. I did like the Dukes of Hazzard one. Jeff, what you got? Number 3.
My number 3, I've got Matchbox cars or Hot Wheels. We weren't too particular on which brand we got, but we would get the cars, and everybody in the neighborhood would have their box of cars, and we'd all go to one of the guys' houses, and we spent one summer just racing them. We had a little track. We'd have them go down the track, and we'd race them and take bets on who's going to win, and we'd race all the cars, and then they would move into the winner's circle, and the next day we'd come back and then race those cars. And then
The bigger question is you had the track, and I'm assuming it's the classic orange Hot Wheel track.
Yes.
Did you ever have orange Hot Wheel track fights?
Oh, well, yeah. we didn't organize those, but
It was.
those are whips. Those hurt.
Yes.
We'd stack it real high, and then have them race all the way down, and whoever won.
And then it was
with imaginary money.
A scene out of Anchorman where you would all show up with your orange Hot Wheel track fights.
Or to be more historically accurate, in The Passion of the Christ, they did that too. That was the whips they used.
I think that's what Mel Gibson did put in there. I think,
yes.
I think it surprised me a little. I thought that was kind of anachronistic in there, but I could be wrong.
He seems perfectly normal, Mel Gibson. Anyways, number 2, Jeff, what you got?
Number 2 is where I throw my video game in. Is the Atari 2600, which you so awfully threw off to the side and said, "This is nothing."
I still have the Atari 2600 if you would like to play.
Well, being slightly older than you guys, it was the first mass popular video game. I know there were a couple others, but this is the one that just took the country by storm. And we spent hours playing those games. And I mean, obviously the graphics are just this block going here, but
What was your favorite game?
My favorite game, I think, was Warlords.
Ooh, that was when you had the 4 corners.
The 4 corners.
Yeah, I do remember that. And you had the paddle.
Yeah, you used the paddle. And,
yep.
Yeah, you could have 4 different people play at a time. I think it was probably the most amount of people that could play at a time, because the paddles plug 2 paddles into 1 port, so you have 4 players with the paddle games.
Did you play Adventure?
I never really played Adventure at the time. I think I went back and played it on a simulation thing or something, but Adventure wasn't one that I think anybody in our group of friends had. So
Kaboom?
Kaboom, no.
Kaboom was good.
Kaboom was good.
Did you have Atari 2600, Nick?
Well, if you want to jump into my number 2, I'm jumping 5,000 up from you guys. I'm going to the 7600.
That was 78.
Well, there was also a 76.
Check that out. No, that was a 56.
No, there was there was a 7600, and that is what we had. We had the 7600.
Time out. Are you sure it was made by Atari and not ARE, the off-brand?
No.
I also did get a 7800 at the same time when everybody else was getting Nintendos.
Are you sure it was Atari?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm positive it was Atari. Hey, we moved from Pong because we did have the console box that you plugged in, and it had 2 knobs on it.
Yep.
The Tune in Tokyo knobs, and we could sit there and we could play Pong, ice hockey, and handball.
Oh, handball's a popular sport. What do you got, Jeff?
Google and Atari, I put Atari 7, and I've got about 8 things that say 7800.
Again, if you would like to correct Nick, please put it on our Facebook page, History of Bad Ideas Podcast on Facebook. Direct it towards Nick.
Do 7600 and see what comes up.
5200's in there.
5200, that's what it was.
76. Oh, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
There are 7600s.
Thank you.
They just weren't all that popular.
So you had to...
The Atari 76.
It could be a collector's item. I better go to my parents' house and see if I can find it in the basement.
There was a 7800 too, right?
There's a 7800, and when I clicked on Atari 7600, the first things that pop up are Atari 7800.
Maybe somebody just filed the 6 down. Anyway, so what was your favorite game on that?
I'll have to say it was Pole Position.
Ooh, that was a good one.
That one, or Later generation of it, I think, was Food Fight. If you ever,
Oh yeah, Food Fight was good. I do remember that one. Whoa.
Even looking on eBay, type in Atari 7600, and everything they're selling is for the Atari 7800.
Okay, well, 76, 78, either or, whichever one it is.
Can you say you're staying corrected?
I stand partially corrected.
I don't think we will ever see that again. Thank God it's recorded. Yeah, because I remember 7800 was their response to, I believe, the ColecoVision. Is what
52 was the ColecoVision.
Well, and we
was
wanted
that the response to the ColecoVision. Okay,
and I'm in the same boat as you, Jason. We wanted the Nintendo, but for whatever reason, I can't say what it was. We ended up with the Atari instead of Nintendo because it was right when Nintendo came out. And we had to save our money, and eventually me and my brother did buy the Nintendo after the fact.
I would love to take that Christmas home video of Nick opening it up and all the kids excited. Oh my God, here it comes! What the shit is this?
I bought the Atari 7800, and I know the Nintendo was getting popular at the time, but I just couldn't understand the control pad. I'm like, where's the joystick? How do you move? It didn't make sense to me because you use joysticks, and I'm like, that made no sense to me. And the 7800 could play the 2600 games, so that's why I got that, because I have plenty of 2600 games still left over.
I wonder if that's the first, you don't have to look this up, but I wonder if that's the first system that was backwards compatible.
Probably, because the 5200 wasn't, and there was a big stink when people were upset when the 5200 came out, and you couldn't play your 2600 games on it. So.
Kind of like when PlayStation 4 and Xbox One comes out, and you can't do it.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Now, Jason, you can talk to plenty of people in my family. There are plenty of wonderful Christmas movie moments that they will gladly share with you about Christmas morning and me, and they're not good in favor. They're not in favor of me, but I don't think that Atari is going to be part of that conversation.
I just could picture that, though. This is awesome. We're getting the Nintendo. What the hell is this? My number, where are we on? 2?
We're on 2.
I've actually gotten to the point that I've looked these up on eBay, and if they weren't so damn expensive for each one, I was going to buy them. Personally for me, personally for my son, mostly for me. The Superpowers / Secret Wars. Superpowers was the DC version, Secret Wars was the Marvel version, action figures. And I will go down saying they are, well, in my second best action figures of all time. For a geek, they were great. Superpowers came out with like 30 or 32 different ones, and they even had like weird ones that you didn't see. They had Superman, Batman, Aquaman, all those guys, but they had Red Tornado. They had Darkseid, which I got after I broke my finger. That was my present.
Yay.
And then I broke Darkseid. His waist broke, so we had to duct tape him. But they had all these different action figures, and that is, I look online now, and each one's like $20 to $30. But I would spend hours playing with those each day, and we didn't have wrestlers, and I'm a huge wrestling fan, so I would make Martian Manhunter turn into somebody, like he would be Hulk Hogan, Dr. Octopus, because all his tentacles fell off. He was Greg the Hammer Valentine, and I would pretend that those guys were that. To answer your question, Jeff,
okay.
I did not mix the Superpowers and the Secret Wars heroes together.
You just admitted you did.
No. They were wrestlers. That's different.
Oh!
But in their natural form as superheroes, I never mixed toys when I was a kid.
Yes, Jason can't have, his wrestling figures play with his superheroes.
It's not natural. I'm just saying. You know why? Because He-Man comes to your world, and you're Spider-Man. Who the hell is this 8-foot guy above me, 10-foot guy?
He doesn't Spider-Man can't be. You can't use them in the same way to play.
So
I've got no imagination.
Oh, I had imagination. I had good plots. I'm just saying that I never could do. And again, like Stewie says in Family Guy, how does He-Man get there? How does he get there? How does he get to Spider-Man's world? How does Spider-Man get to Martian Manhunter's? You can't, so you just separate them.
Until you make them wrestlers. Wow, that's a cop-out.
God, I even had issues at 5 years old. So, yeah, that is, like I said, I would love to get some of those. I do still have them, but all their paint's knocked off and that. But, yeah, they go for like $20, $30 each. So, Jeff, you got number 1.
Well, my number 1 is the best toy ever created. It's the Star Wars figure.
Ooh.
I mean, it's the one that started the action figures. The old G.I. Joes were dolls. I mean, so these were the first action figures to come out. And man, as a kid in the late 70s, early 80s, there was nothing better than Star Wars. And our neighbors growing up had an aunt that worked at Kenner, the company that made them, that they were here locally in Cincinnati. And so they would get some special toys or something. And I was just thinking, because for some reason I thought they had a Boba Fett where the missile launched out. I thought I remembered that growing up, and it was like no one else had this. But then I saw Toy Hunter or something where they were talking about they only had the non-painted ones, and I'm like, but the one they had was painted, and I could have sworn their missile launched. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misremembering things.
Did you have the original 9?
No, I don't think I necessarily had all of them. I mean,
because that's the ones that you sent away for.
Yeah, we just bought them one at a time here and there. We didn't get the whole set at once or something that they had when you did that.
Did you have Luke Skywalker with his little wimpy white robe?
I think my sister officially had the Luke Skywalker one, but we all shared toys, so
Did you have any of the ships?
We had the Land Speeder, I think.
We had that.
The neighbors had all the big stuff, so we bring ours over to their
Legos,
place.
Star Wars.
Yeah, they did. No, actually, my favorite Star Wars was one that was never released. Was the
Jar Jar Binks?
Come on. We're talking 70s here. No, I suppose they call it the Blue Snaggletooth.
Yes.
It was never released. I suppose I looked up as to what the history of that was. I suppose when they gave the design, they told them they wanted to make this figure. They only had a face picture, so they just put it on a regular-sized body wearing this blue and silver space outfit.
I think that was the one they put it on Walrus Man.
Oh,
I think
took somebody else's body and painted it differently.
I could be wrong, but I think it was Walrus Man.
But I suppose they made a bunch of them and then found out that's not what Snaggletooth is at all, so they had to redo that figure. And we toured the Kenner plant with the Cub Scouts one year, and they gave everybody their little pack that had about 5 figures in them, and I had 2 of those blue Snaggletooths in there. And actually, when I first had them, I was kind of upset because the other Snaggletooth character was cooler. But then I look back and I'm like, oh man, I had 2 of those ones that hardly anybody was ever had.
I had now I had a lot of. I was in the 80s, so I had the Return of the Jedi series more. I inherited the older ones from my brothers when they passed them down, but one of my favorite ones was the Rancor monster. I got that one,
right.
And that was. And the worst part is, can you sense the theme? The arms fell off. So. God bless my mom, she somehow rigged it with a rubber band. And so their arms were up, but they were a little loosey-goosey in there.
That probably made them more scary. Ah! I'm waving my arms while I'm doing that, so you can just picture. Ah! Picture the Rancor
It's not
monster.
the balloon guy that the car lots going back and forth in the wind.
Well, apparently your mom made it look like the balloon man.
And I had the Rio band from Return of the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt's Palace
band.
Max Rebo's band. And I got that for finishing speech class in summertime. I do remember that. So, go ahead, Nick. What's yours?
Mine was my Huffy BMX bike.
With the banana seat?
No, no banana seat.
Banana seats. Come on.
My bad.
And I lived on that thing for a good part of my childhood during the summers.
What color was it?
Black.
Ooh. Yeah, my bike growing up was a Schwinn Stingray with a banana seat.
Did you have a basket in the front?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It was a red Schwinn Stingray with a banana seat. And I never had the BMX. They were after we were done.
Thinking back on that, the amount of time and the places that I went on that bike at the age I was when I did that, there is no way that I could even imagine kids today going those distances or doing those things on a bike.
So you won't let your girls do that?
No.
Go to the end of the driveway. Good. You're done. Get back here.
Now, granted, it is a long driveway. And
It
you have
is.
to get past the surf.
That's right. Nick has a very long driveway. We think that there's medieval serfs that work there.
Watch out for the hot tar.
Yep. Can't get near his house. My number one is G.I. Joe, and specifically the Terrordrome, which was Cobra Command's base. This big hunk of plastic, circular. It had about 12. It was a big circular thing. In the middle was this jet came out of this pop-up area. Around it, on the top area of the circular area, was all these computers that these guys would work at. It was it looked like a real live, this would be Cobra Command's base. Like, even the smallest person doing IT work would be there. And then underneath it, you had about 6 to 9 doors that would open that had mechanic stuff. You could fix your cars there. They had a weapon gallery. It was quite possibly the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I got it for Christmas one year. And the only reason I don't have it, oh God, I was trying to sell it to get the Super Nintendo, and I sold it for $40 at garage sale.
Jason.
And it's worth about $200 right now, out of pocket.
Jason.
So, let me explain. Oh my God, I will buy that one day.
No, your wife won't let you buy that one day.
And I'm guessing every little of those command posts, everyone had a person, and everyone had a plot and a task that they had to complete, and they all tied together.
I'm not exaggerating. It would take me a whole night to set everything up, and I would not even get to play with it. And the next day I would come home from school, and then I would get to play with it. Because I would literally take 3 hours just setting every guy up, where the G.I. Joes were going to invade from, where these guys, the Dreadnoughts, were working on the cars.
And I'm sure anybody that knows Jason does not doubt that in the least.
It took me all night. And then I would keep it set up for like 5 days because I spent all night working on it.
Well, you should have kept it set up permanently.
Well, it was just put in the closet. So, but that is bar none my favorite thing. I didn't get the aircraft carrier, which was $100 and something. I didn't get the space shuttle, which was $100. The aircraft carrier was 6 feet long, and I think now you can, like, even the small parts on that go for extraordinary amounts. But I did get the Terrordrome. And I think even back then that was like it would cost like $60 or $70.
So, what was your favorite G.I. Joe figure to have?
Ooh, that's a good one. I liked Flint. I really did like Flint. And then I liked Snake Eyes, not just because it's Snake Eyes, but he had a wolf. I liked him. And then Law and Order. I think it was Law and Order. Or he was one of them. He had a dog. And then Junkyard. Who had Junkyard the dog? Shoot.
That I don't remember.
Can't remember.
Like I said, a little too old.
I think Junkyard was the figure, and then Mutt was the dog. I think that was
okay.
It. So pretty much any of them that had the dogs. Those were my favorite.
Not Twilight Zone. You brought in Law and Order. There wasn't a Twilight Zone character that you're going to bring into this too.
No. So yeah, G.I. Joe, bar none. My goodness, I want that back now.
And then they ruined it by making the G.I. Joe movie.
Which one?
Either, but especially the first one. Your childhood was dashed when they made that movie.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander. I never thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt could choose scenery like that, and he did.
Yeah, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but that was awful. I mean, this whole storyline, I don't understand how you can do that. We're going to take this beloved story that, has so many depth and stories already told about it, and just piss all over it. And make our own stories, make our own relations between the characters that don't make any sense.
Baroness and Duke were related, or they were lovers or something. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and Cobra Commander and Duke were like best friends.
Snake Eyes had lips on the front of his mask.
Yeah, that bothered the hell out of me. Why does he have lips? It's not like it's moving. It's like nipples on the batsuit. Why does he have lips on his helmet?
And it appears we're having some technical difficulties, so that'll just wrap up our podcast for tonight. So until next week, say goodbye, Roger.